Well, everyone, mark your calendars. We're going to Egypt. This coming January 2025, we will be spending 2 weeks along the Nile from Alexandria all the way down to Aswan, exploring every single major Egyptian temple, tomb, and pyramid. And the purpose of this tour will be to dive into Egypt's lost history. From the full purpose of the Great Pyramids to the Sphinx, the Serapeum, the Osirion, where were Alexander and Cleopatra really buried? What happened to Egypt's lost labyrinth? How were the pre-dynastic vases really made, and what really was their purpose? Were they simply the earliest version of the sacred canopic jars, or were they something more? What happened to the capstones of the Great Pyramids? How much was lost after the burning of Alexandria's library? What do the Edfu texts really say? And how were the granite 1,000 plus ton megalithic monuments quarried, cut, transported, and raised into place? And how much more of ancient Egypt's history has been lost to the sands of time? That's what makes this tour so unique. We begin the tour with a very rare 2-day excursion through the city of Alexandria, exploring the surviving tombs of Alexandria that show us what Cleopatra and Alexander the Great's tombs may have looked like. We will explore the megalithic remains of one of the world's lost wonders, the Lighthouse of Alexandria, which was once composed of 65-ton red Aswan granite stones and built to be as tall as the Great Pyramid. We will visit Luxor's Temple of Man, where NEXT will explain to us how Egyptian temples are built to be the physical and spiritual embodiment of the human form. We will see the Karnak Temple with the largest standing stone columns found throughout the entire world. We will also see Hatshepsut's temple, where we will explore the mystery of where arguably Egypt's greatest female pharaoh may have been buried. And I'm really excited to explore the temple of Hathor at Dendera, where we will enter by walking beneath its megalithic gate, and it's actually this site where we will all see the frieze known colloquially as the Dendera light bulb. We will explore the strange temple of Seti I at Abydos, which is built right alongside one of Egypt's most incredible, inexplicable, and mysterious sites, the Osirion, which is a structure composed of some of the largest megalithic blocks seen anywhere in the entire world. We will sail down the Nile and explore the Temple of Kom Ombo, featuring several unknown megalithic lintels and floor slabs, as well as the 3,000-year-old crocodile mummies on display near the temple. We will see the Philae Temple of Isis that was built during the height of Alexandria's library over 2,000 years ago. And we will discuss and read the infamous texts at the Temple of Edfu that seem to refer to a lost civilization much older than dynastic Egypt. We will see the whispering statues of Memnon that weigh in at just over 700 tons apiece, as well as the Colossus at the Ramesseum, which is a single block of red Aswan granite that once stood over 60 feet tall and weighed a mind-breaking 1,200 tons. We'll descend down into the Valley of Kings, where dynastic Egypt comes to life with the original paint still coating the walls of the ancient world's oldest and greatest ruler's final resting place. And this is one of the most sacred places in the known world. I will also need your help spotting and photographing stone vases along the way. And we'll have a research-based group chat where everyone can send in their photos and thoughts. And this will continue long after the end of the tour, as I'm actually working on my own study and my own theory of the pre-dynastic and early dynastic vases. I have an idea of what they could have potentially been used for other than canopic jars. And that is why we will also be visiting the Grand Egyptian Museum as well as the Greco-Roman Museum in Alexandria, where we are going to thoroughly document, photograph, and video over 3,000 years worth of stone vessels. As weird as it sounds, this is one of the things that I'm most excited for. And finally, yes, we will be visiting the pyramids. Lots of them. The pyramids of Khufu, Khafre, Menkaure, the Step Pyramid, the Bent Pyramid, and the Red Pyramid. We will also have exclusive private access to the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx enclosure, where we'll have access to the King's Chamber, the Queen's Chamber, the Ascending Passageway, and the Grand Gallery. And at the Sphinx enclosure, we will be standing between the paws of the Sphinx. All of this has been done on the behalf of Adept Expeditions that has over a decade experience operating in Egypt, and they were able to secure these special permissions for us. And another one of the things that I'm most excited for, while we're at Saqqara, we will actually venture underground deep into the Serapeum, where the megalithic 14-foot long, 8-foot tall granite and diorite sarcophagi or boxes have sat in silence for thousands of years. If you're interested in traveling to Egypt, this is the trip you should take. 2 full weeks along the Nile from Alexandria all the way down to Aswan. Now, tours like this can be pricey. I know because I paid for them. But the justification for this cost is that everything is taken care of. You don't have to worry about planning anything at all. Once you show up, everything is taken care of for you. We will be hosted by Adept Expeditions, a company that has over a decade of experience traveling and living in Egypt. We will all be picking up from the airport, taken to the hotel, and chauffeured by a crew of people along with an armed guard every single day, just for an added measure of security. We will be eating the best food in Egypt, of which much of that is included as well. Now, this will probably be the 6th tour that I've ever led around the world, but it's going to be my very first tour that I've ever led in Egypt. And that's why I'm partnering with the founder of Adept Expeditions, NEXT, who again has over a decade of experience operating in Egypt and even has lived in Egypt for several years. So the guy knows his way around and he has connections in every city in Egypt. In my experience on tours like this, there's just nothing like it. The amount that you will learn about ancient Egypt in the span of 2 weeks, I promise you, will be 10 times more than you have ever learned. That is the experience every single time on every tour I've ever been on. The perspectives of all the different guests and guides will change the way you see the ancient world in a way that nobody can predict. And I've personally never made more leaps in my understanding than when I'm on a tour like this with a bunch of other people who are just as invested in these topics, all collaborating and speaking together. Every time I've ever been on an excursion or an expedition like this, it has really expanded and opened the way that I see the ancient world. Every time. Even during my Cosmic Summit presentation, I was able to announce a discovery that I made while on a tour in Mexico, and there was a small group in the crowd of people who had been on that tour, and I was able to publicly ask them about a discovery that we made. I mean, the connections that you make in these tours extend for years. And I even end up working with a lot of the people who end up on the tours because they're so invested in this area of study. And on top of that, I've just made a lot of friends on these tours, people that I speak to every single day. There's really nothing quite like the long tour rides that it takes to get to the next site early in the morning, and everybody is excited to see the next archaeological site, and we're all talking about the things that we saw the day before and the things that we're hoping to see today and the things to keep an eye on. And then after spending all day at these different archaeological sites and we're all exhausted, taking the long bus ride home at night, and we're all hanging out in the back of the bus talking about ancient history, sharing all of our own perspectives and points of view, and then getting to a point where we start to connect on a personal level and everyone starts sharing their experiences of how they even ended up in this place that they're obsessed with ancient history. I feel like a lot of us, I know for myself, people that are just obsessed with the ancient world, we kind of live on our own islands, and it's hard to find people who relate to you. And it is here that you're going to find people that you're going to be shocked are so similar to you. And the connections that I have made on all of these trips are really amazing, and it's become like the treasure of my life. It's just an amazing experience. It really is. If you're still watching this and you're anything like me, the ancient world is calling out to you, and probably has been for a long time, maybe your whole life. And what great reason do you have to ignore it? The tour dates are January 13th through the 26th of 2025. It's quick notice, but that's because we were able to secure the special permissions for the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx enclosure and the Nile cruise and the hotel during the best time of year to travel to Egypt. It'll be warm during the day and cool during the evening, so we'll be able to sit out under the stars comfortably and hang out every single evening. As a special bonus, I'll be throwing in some complimentary merchandise exclusive to this tour as well. When you sign up, I'll reach out to you, get all of your personal information, get your sizing, and I'll get it all set up for you. If you're looking for a great 2-week-long adventure where you don't have to think about anything and you just want to see ancient sites throughout Egypt, climb up into every single pyramid, go inside of the Serapeum, and see the Sphinx up close, then that's awesome. But the other cool thing about this tour, it is an active exploration and research tour. So if you're wanting to help me do some investigation and study these ancient stone vessels that date back from before 3500 BC all the way down to the very end of ancient Egypt towards the time of Cleopatra, then I cannot wait to work together. And making discoveries together during the expedition is the most satisfying part of these trips, and I'm very excited for that. And it's not just the vases, there's so much more than that. I mean, so much. This is what I live for, and experiencing it with you guys is I can't think of anything else I would rather spend my time doing. About a third of the spots have sold before the official announcements, which is pretty exciting. And we're not going to overpack the tour so that it still has an exclusive, intimate, personal aspect to it. I can't wait to explore ancient Egypt and hang out late at night under the stars with you guys as we're sailing along the Nile. It's going to be amazing. So anyways, I'm Luke Caverns. Hope to see you in Egypt.